Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're here today with the Life After the Leap podcast. I know it's your favorite thing. I'm here with my lovely, beautiful co-host, Miss Nicole Keith. Everybody clap for Nicole. Welcome, Nicole.
Hi. Hi, everybody.
So glad that you are here today. We are here to talk about, first, get to know Nicole. Nicole and I go way back, and we worked together in our previous jobs. And so I'm going to have Nicole just kind of like introduce herself and tell you a little bit about herself before we start our questions. Go ahead, Nicole.
So, again, I am Nicole Keith. And as Kathy said, we kind of go way back. Well, probably 13 years working at Hughes. And I actually worked for the school district for 23 years. So, prior to working with Kathy, I worked in the central office. Um, And so with that, I sort of had a financial background. Also worked for a bank previously. Did a lot of union work, a lot of labor union work, contract negotiations. Um, and let's see. Um, I have a 10-year-old son,
Who's adorable,
and
by the way, who should be a
and
mom. You should be a mom.
uh, when he wants to be. And hmm, I'm excited about what's happening for me and the things that are coming up, and excited about the life after the leap. So it was something that I'm sure we'll get into in a little bit, but something that Kathy and I both have been um, praying about for a good bit.
For
So
sure, for
that's a
sure.
little bit about me.
So what you all don't know is like Nicole is like amazingly incredible in so many ways. I just love, love, love her. If you cannot tell, she is very talented. As she talked about, she had was a whiz in finance before coming over to CPS and supporting the work at Hughes, and just fell in love with her. Incredibly talented, like I said, but also very dedicated and very focused and knows how to get stuff done. So you talked about you were in CPS for 23 years, and then you decided to make a leap. Talk to me about what went into the decision to make that leap.
So I had really been kind of on this prayer journey about what it is that I truly wanted to be doing. I had told somebody that when I came to CPS, it was really just kind of like I was supposed to just make a stop. It's kind of a pit stop. I didn't plan on being there. 1 year turned into 5 to 10 to 23. And I just, was at a point of where I just knew that I wanted to be doing something different. I just didn't know what that really looked like. And I had a lot again, background with labor negotiations, contracts, and I have a master's degree in justice studies, which is kind of like a management degree, sort of. Um, can do mediating and things of that nature. So I was thinking, like, did I really want to be doing that? But nothing really kind of came to pass for me with that. And so I just really got to a point where I said, it's really kind of not about me. And so I just, in the process of my prayers, and I would always focus on one thing from year to year. Just kind of, at one point I was praying for peace,
Mm,
just peace in my life.
yeah.
And um, doing that, some things happened. The Lord spoke to me about some things, and then I went to resilience. And so I think along that way, I got to a point of where I was really able to hear what God was saying to me. So, over the last few years, Kathy and I both talked about leaving CPS, but we kept giving it a time limit. We kept giving it a date, and I kept giving it a date, and that date kept
Hmm.
passing. And so one day though, last year, I was in church and my bishop was preaching, and all of a sudden he just was like, "Pack your bags and go." And so I just kind of like turned around, startled, like, is he talking to me? Um, and so I really kind of was thrown off by that. And if people know me, they know my sister, and they know that's what my sister does. So I just kind of was like, all right, maybe he's not me. Um, the next Sunday, um, the next couple Sundays passed, go back, he said it again. And so I'm like, he's really talking to me. And
Mhm.
so I'm like, okay, like I need to be figuring out like what this is really about. And so fast forward, I took that as my sign, and I really kind of like pressed down, putting my resume out there, getting it, my profile out there on websites. But still in all was really just kind of waiting, for the move to happen, not because of me, but what, I was being led to do.
Mhm.
And so then I just put a date on it. I had just decided that, if I didn't find anything or if there was nothing out there for me, that I was definitely leaving before the next school year started. I
Mhm.
gave myself August 1st. This was it. I'm leaving. And then whatever happens, happens. And so I really wasn't going to worry about anything. I wasn't going to worry about money, wasn't going to worry about, insurance or anything. And then one day, this email just came up, and a company that, super familiar with, we've done business with, uh,
Mhm.
came up with an opening. And so I thought, like, this has to be my sign. And so I just decided that was it for me. Uh,
That's really just shows like the level of faith that you had. You said a couple of things that I just want to kind of like talk about for a minute. I love that you talked about how when you originally started your work, you thought it was going to be a pit stop. And
mhm,
I think for a lot of people, that's how they go into work. They go into
mhm,
certain positions and they say, well, this is going to be a place for me to be for a minute, but it's not going to be my forever. And sometimes we get into a space where it gets so comfortable and we get complacent, almost um, not that we're not continuing to be go-getters. That's not what I mean. But I mean like the environment just it tends to create it has this level of consistency that creates comfort. It has a knowing about what's going to be happening. You don't have to guess about what your next day is going to look like. I mean, there may be some, you're working in school, so some of the days is going to be,
mhm,
but you know what I mean. The routine is set, and we can get really comfortable in that space, and next thing we know, we've been doing something for 20 years, and then sometimes we wonder, did we miss the opportunity? And what I want to say is that if God is touching you on the shoulder like he did you in church, he told you to pack your bags and go. I think something similar happened to me, not in the exact same way, but it was just clear.
mhm,
I think you don't have to worry about if you got enough time, or if you wasted time, or if you should have gone before, or if you should have. None of those things matter. I think when you get that sign, when you have that knowing that it is your time to do something different and to make that shift and to make that leap, that God will create all the time that you need in order to be in this next space and do the work that you need to do.
I so agree with you on that. I think, for me at least, I think part of me being there for so long, um, uh, I don't know if it was a matter of complacency versus stability for me.
Right.
Because I went back to school. I had been out of school for so long, and I needed something where um, I could, go to school and not have anything extra to be concerned about, like starting something brand new where I could, after work, I would sit and do my work and things of that nature. And so it got real comfortable,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
because I had this place and, these people that I, would not say anything, if I was, after work, I would stay and do my schoolwork and, this, that, and the other. And so, and then I just realized like that same um effort that you put into going back to school is that same effort that you have to put, into moving on.
yeah,
Right. And so for me, It was all about the drive, that I had. Like, this was always a thing for me. Like, I always wanted to be doing something more, something different.
Yeah.
And so, just being able to, just step out of, for some people, your comfort zone, you
Yeah.
and so, I think that, was a thing for me.
And I also think, we had the luxury of being in a space where we loved the people we
Hmm.
like we
Yeah.
had so much fun.
Yeah.
And we really were like family. Like we
Yeah.
loved everybody there and they knew it, and they loved us back, and it was just great. And so that, I think, also was a signal for me to continue to be there as
Hmm.
long as I had been there, because I just knew that I was loved, and I was sharing that in the space, and we were doing really big, great things together. So I think that those were all contributing factors. But then the pandemic hit, right? And
Hmm.
we all kind of like were thrown into new spaces and starting to feel, I think, different energies coming from places that we hadn't felt it before. And I think it was, a lot of us went into an introspection kind
Yeah.
of space, introspective kind of split, introspective. I can't get that word out. Kind of space where we were contemplating like what was next. What It was kind of scary,
Hmm.
like, what is going on in the world, what is happening. And so I knew for me, I try to always live my life from a space of courage, because as a leader you have to like find courage to do stuff nobody else wants to do. And for the first time I felt a lot of deep fear.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I understand, like, when you talk about like trying to figure out like when to go and looking for a word, for a sign,
Right.
that it's time to go. But you found you got this, like manna from heaven, right? You got this email, and then you decided to make your leap. So tell me about your leap. Where are you? What are you kind of work are you doing now?
So I work for a consulting company that does mostly diversity, equity, inclusion work, and some HR training, some executive coaching, and things of that nature. I think one of the things that really drew me to it was the fact that it was a lot of DEI work, which is something that just kind of has always been close for me. Again, lots of labor union work. That was my thing. Served on the Human Rights Committee, was the chair. Just have always, wanted to be a civil rights lawyer. And so that was just kind of the thing I was drawn to with the company. And one of the things that they say, is part of the mission is uncovering your inherent strength. And so I felt like that was really me. Anybody that ever really came to Hughes knew that people were always in my office. And it wasn't even always just about work. A lot of times people would come, um, just to talk things through, talk things over about what's happening with themselves, and the decisions that they want to be making, the things that they want to be doing, trying to figure out, what their next move is. And so it was always me, sort of being not just a sounding board, because I am a very good listener, um, but also, somebody to help you, kind of talk through the things that are going through. So I just kind of felt like that move was good for me.
Hmm.
And just was thinking like, oh, this is a perfect opportunity to get myself out there and maybe become an advisor or something of that nature, or coach, or whatever, because that's kind of what I've always done. um
Yeah, you've
so
been coaching before coaching was cool, right?
right.
Like life coaching and helping people. I mean, our viewers don't know, like, men, women, and children all ended up in Nicole's space, listening to sage advice. And when she says that she's a really good listener, she really is a good listener and very thoughtful. And I think, anybody that has that skill set is a natural coach. And so I think you've hit upon something if you're able to do that now in your work.
Yeah, so that is something that, the official um coaching thing is something that I have been investigating. But also just the whole idea, I think, being at the new place has allowed me to really just kind of, think about where it is that I'm really want to be or where I'm supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
For sure, this is definitely a pit stop for me. I think, it was the needed move for me to get to where it is that I'm supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you just need one little nudge, and I
Mm-hmm.
think this was my nudge, to get out there and just kind of, see what it is that I should be doing. I've always told people that you have a hobby, a passion, and a talent, and sometimes they are all different.
Mm-hmm.
And so that, just trying to figure out like what's the next move for me, working on a business plan, starting a business, working on creating an app, um, because a lot of the things that I did with students was trying to help them find money for school.
Nice.
And then also working with one of my other good friends who started a nonprofit. For young ladies called Hello Beautiful.
Mm.
So I'm the vice president and the executive director of programming for the nonprofit, where what we do for the young ladies is we work on heart healing, and it's all about self care, self love, and self preservation. Really, just kind of try to minister to them, ages 7 to 25. And so, it's open to, any young lady that has, may not have gone through some things, but may have. A lot of us, have lived lives not realizing that we've taken on some things that, were inherited,
And yeah.
and so just kind of trying to break down those barriers, break those chains,
Mm-hmm.
with them, and then eventually, starting some other things with that. So, the other piece of that, is me trying to figure out like, oh, so maybe it's something different for me too, educationally. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I've always loved school, so um, now, just trying to venture my way into a doctorate program, uh,
Mm-hmm.
because I just felt like, it's time for, if I'm doing leadership roles, um, why not, head in that direction? So just some things that I've been, working on, and for me, like now, is about doing what I absolutely love, what
Mm.
makes me happy, something that gives me flexibility. Um, I think, you know, the bridge is burned for the 9 to 5. Um,
I'd say that one more time for the people in the back.
I am definitely like, I to be real transparent, I'm tired of the 9 to 5. It is so not a thing anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just, for me, those are the things that I'm working towards. Um, you
And
know,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
no, just some comfort. Um, not comfortable, but some comfort
Yeah.
for me so that I could, be available to my son,
Mm.
So yeah.
I think you bring up a really good point, right? It's like how can you once you know, right, what you want, how do you help to make that real, right? And how do you leverage your connections, who you know, what you know, to make that your reality, right? So if your reality is that you don't want to work a 9 to 5, then
Mhm,
lead it into your passion. In your case, you're an excellent coach. You have the ability to connect with people. So your nonprofit makes perfect sense to me, right? Hello Beautiful. I mean that is to me that's such a life affirming thing to be able to tell young women, you ages 7 to 25, heck 50, right,
right,
need to be told that they matter and that they're beautiful, and they're and given the tools and the resources and the techniques to be able to navigate sometimes what has been a very traumatic space that they're coming
mhm,
from, or that they're currently in. And so I really appreciate that you're doing that work, and that you are taking that and leveraging that to think about how you will continue to iterate, away from a 9 to 5 into something that is much more built upon your talents, and but making yourself available, like you said, to your son. I love that.
Mhm, mhm.
So how has it been in terms of like happiness? Like, I think there's a happiness quotient for everything, right? So like for me, I am also like not in a 9 to 5. I don't think I would ever do it again. And I'm incredibly happy, right? And so but I mean, there's still work, right? There's still plenty of work, but it's the work that I'm choosing to do,
Right.
right? And so, what is, as you think about how you might transition from a traditional 9 to 5, even in a space where you're continuing to learn and grow and develop new skills, what are the places that you think you might lean into to get away from the 9 to 5?
Oh, um, I think, just I think at this point, I think I'm, how people quit cold turkey,
Yeah,
um, things.
yeah.
I think that is probably gonna be the thing for me, so that I don't know if it'll be necessarily me leaning into something.
Mm,
I
okay.
think it's gonna be a cutoff. I've already, in this last couple weeks, I have decided that I'm gonna give myself another timeline.
Okay.
I have to, say like I'm cutting it off at this point,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't go on further. I'm gonna give enough time, you know, to get your ducks in a row,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm out,
Mm-hmm.
right? And at that point, there is no more 9 to 5.
Yeah.
So I'm, once I'm starting my own thing, that's it for me,
Mm-hmm.
and so working on the business plan, it's been a number of different things, and we've talked about a number of different things.
Mm-hmm.
I think that sometimes, um, your goals, you just have to hit them versus, climbing the stair towards them. You just have
Mm-hmm.
to go do it, right? And I think the thing that I've done, with even just leaving CPS, for some people was considered like taking a big risk.
Yeah.
And so, but I think that's what I have to keep doing,
Mm-hmm.
so not necessarily just, transitioning, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
into that. Um, so it's more, like once I cut this off, I'm doing my own business.
Mm-hmm.
And, it'll, be, a brick and mortar establishment,
Mm-hmm.
and but the idea is that there'll be people there to work for me,
Yeah.
so I don't have to. And again, looking towards the idea of having more flexibility, in my schedule, I think, was another bigger part for me. Um, just feeling like I really had not necessarily been there enough
Mm-hmm.
for school,
Mm-hmm.
for my son.
Mm-hmm.
All the parents all the time, "Oh, I saw your kid on a field trip. Oh, I was on the field trip with your kid. Oh," and I'm like,
Mom guilt is something else.
yeah, and I always felt like I was giving my time, though, that I felt guilty of not being at work,
Mm.
and so, like, I don't want that.
Yeah.
I don't want to feel like I'm leaving that behind, but I'm leaving my kid behind,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
so, yeah, I think for me, I don't know if it's yeah, I think it's just a jump right in,
Well,
you
I love that attitude and that thinking, because I think it was this lady I watch on YouTube. I think her name is Mo. I can't think. I think it might be Stevens, but she has this famous line that nobody is coming. Like, nobody is coming to save us. Nobody is coming to tell us to switch jobs. Nobody is
Mhm,
coming to tell us to start that business. Nobody is coming to tell us to start that nonprofit. Nobody is
mhm,
coming. Nobody is coming. We have to make sure that we are creating the space so we can go for ourselves and take care of the things that we want, for ourselves. It's not that we're not, of course, leveraging our resources and our family to help support that. Hopefully, we all have that. But no matter what, we have to be the leaders of what is going to happen in our lives, because nobody is coming. Nobody, I've learned, nobody is coming to help me go get on my exercise bike.
Yeah.
That's why I don't buy a Peloton, right? Because I know that I'm not gonna make myself go get on that Peloton and I'll spend all that money, right? But it's so important to say that, though, that you are looking past where you are and planning for your future, and you've given yourself a timeline. You understand what your needs are, that you're trying to make sure that you are being available to your son. You want that flexibility. You want to love what you do, and so defining those things, right? And then working, like actually doing the work, creating a business plan, right? So that you have a way forward, and then leaning into that space and saying, this is what's going to happen. I believe that, once we declare what we want,
Hmm.
that all of God's
Yeah.
angels and everything in the universe conspire to make that happen. If we're coming from a place in our heart that is of love and of pure um, joy and expectation and confidence that we can make this thing happen. I was watching some other video where they were talking about, all of these, the Great Resignation, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of like how I started this Facebook page, and the subsequent podcast was, all of a sudden I thought I was, one of one, right? But as it turns out, millions of people,
Yeah.
including me and you, have decided to dramatically shift what we have been doing, and what is comfortable, right? And what is consistent, and what pays, pays. Sometimes it pays, sometimes it don't. But leaving those things to make something brand new happen for our lives, to fulfill that space in our heart that we know we have to feed in order to be our best selves. So I am so excited about what your business is going to be, and the fact that you have created this, the all of the from the business plan to the expectation around keeping your timelines, to your goals around what you want to have when you get there.
Yeah.
I'm so excited that you have all of that kind of mapped out. What tip would you give somebody if they were thinking about doing similar, making the leap, leaving their job and going into a new space? What would you tell them?
It- you know, it's funny because, you know, just in our circle, we've had a number of people, that have kind of just been wavering,
Mm-hmm.
and even other individuals. And so I think, for me, though, I think it was really about relationship, and my relationship, my spiritual relationship, and then my relationship with people, right? And so, what I say to people is that, you have to get to a point of where you can cancel out the noise, of, how it used to be like on Tom and Jerry, like the angel
Oh,
and the
yeah,
devil, right?
yeah,
You got to cancel that out, right? Because, you have to be still and hear what God is trying to say to you.
mm-hmm.
And, you or whoever, you worship, and you have to be able to see the things that are in front of you, because he's going to open doors for you,
Yeah,
right?
mm-hmm.
And you have to be able to avail yourself to him enough to see it when it's opening,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so I think, like the bigger piece is really being like, not just spiritually grounded, but in a space where you also have people that are going to support you,
Yeah,
right?
mm-hmm.
So like, I, honestly, aside from, me just really trying to be steadfast in my prayer life, and, just trying to be devoted to that, like, I honestly think that there probably would be, some disconnects to where I am if I didn't like have you.
Mm.
And so, that's important, right? Um, you have helped, to, move, you know, me to move the mark. And so you need people, in your life when you're trying to make that decision that is gonna be supportive of whatever the move is that you make, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so, people are that are gonna cheer you on, people are that are gonna, say like, "You've got this," or, "Let's figure this out. Okay, maybe that's not it," or, when there's something that you thought was for you and it really wasn't your turn yet,
Mm.
to say, "It's really okay." And so I think that those are the couple things that I would, just, to be spiritually grounded, to be ready for whatever is getting ready to be presented to you, and then to have people there that are going to support you. You have to have a really good, solid foundation, um, of the two, because there's going to be times where you ebb and flow,
Mm.
you like, "Ugh, I don't know if this is it." And
Mm-hmm.
you have to go to something, right?
Right.
You're either gonna go to your spiritual guide or you're gonna go to your friend, right? And so that's what you need.
I think those are really good points, and I love the fact that you talked about the cheering section, because you need that. If
Mhm.
it's not your immediate family or your cousins, you gotta
Mhm.
have a set of girlfriends
Right,
or
right,
somebody,
right.
right, who you can depend on to constantly be continuing to add positive energy into your space. You
Mhm.
know, people can do it solo. They can go out on their own and against all odds. That happens at times too. But I just think it's a little bit harder. I think it's
Yeah,
always better if you have, you've got someone who understands the journey. That's why I think it's important that we have this group, right?
yeah,
So for me, for us, I think it's important because we can connect with like-minded folks, people who are trying to transition and need a space. This creates a space for them to be able to share where they are, and hopefully tap into someone else's knowledge base to help them continue to grow and move forward. So
yeah,
I hope as this group grows, that people can see the value that adds to it, and understanding that we're not that very different in terms of the struggles that we all have, but it's kind of unique that we are all doing it like at this crazy time in history, and that
mhm,
yeah, and it's nice
mhm.
that we have a group where we can kind of turn to share ideas and continue to keep each other lifted up with messages of support and encouragement.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think this, the group would be just kind of like your support system,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then it becomes your network, and
exactly.
so you need that. Yeah.
Hmm. So, can you tell everybody how we can find your nonprofit? How will we find your nonprofit? Do you have a website?
So the organization is called Hello Beautiful Outreach Ministries, and it is on Facebook, it is on Twitter, it is on Instagram, and you can find us on any one of those um, social media apps. Our website is not up just yet, but we're working on some trademark stuff. So uh,
Okay. So I put
definitely.
it down here. That's what I was typing. I'm so proud of myself for that. But this is how
But
they can find you. They can look this up on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
yes,
Okay.
yes, and
Okay.
just message us if anybody has any questions or interested in getting their young ladies involved. We actually call them our daughters.
Mm,
Um, to get them involved, just message us. We'll reach back out to you. We meet twice a month. We don't have a location that is our own just yet. We do have a location that we meet at, and so we meet actually through the school year. So
oh,
we take the summers off,
mhm.
and this was our first full year. It's kind of light, but it was great for us. Just kind of getting started, just getting a feel for things. But we're excited about where things are going for us. We've partnered with a church, which was, sort of not an intent,
Mhm.
but they were excited about our organization, and we partnered with their youth group, and did. a workshop last month, so which was a really good hit. But definitely check us out and message us and let us know if there's some interest there.
I'm so excited. I know that this is good work. It's important work. It's needed work, and I'm so glad it's you doing it. I am just so pleased that you came on today. Nicole is an official administrator of the Life After the Leap group, and so she's going to be hosting some of these. So I thought it was really important that she came on and we were able to showcase her beauty, her talent, her love for the work, her love for people, and all that she's doing. So thank you so much, my dear Nicole Keith.
Well,
Uh,
thank
you
you.
know I love you, and
And I love you more.
I'm so proud of, and that's what she always says, by the way. All right, Nicole, we're gonna say goodbye. Thank you guys. We really appreciate you, and we'll catch you next time on Life After the Leap podcast.
Bye. See you, everybody.